Hey y'all, I'm back and I have more of your paranormal stories that I'm so nervous to read. Like this first one seems absolutely insane. I have to read it first. This says, I used a Ouija board and an entity scratched my friend's back. And there's a photo. Hi Courtney, I've been a subscriber for 5 to 6 years now and I love your videos. Back in 2019, you were literally the only YouTuber I would watch. I have a ton of paranormal stories, but this is probably one of the craziest. When I started watching the Ouija board videos you made, I swore I would never use a board. But in my senior year of high school, my, at the time, undiagnosed bipolar started raging and me and my friend bought a board together. When we first used the board, we went to a graveyard and crawled into the back of my 90s wagon and used the board. I don't remember much other than it saying a lot of things that didn't make sense. It said its name was Core and a bunch of random things, but something started banging on the roof of the car and we said goodbye and went home. Okay, off to a great start. I used the board a few other times and nothing really happened. But then, the night before Halloween, my friend spent the night at my house and we decided to use the board. A little bit of background on my house. It was built in 1949 by a couple named Robert and Jesse. They lived in this house throughout their whole marriage and raised their 3 kids here. My family is only the second owners of the home. Because we ended up closing on the house in the first month of COVID, there wasn't much information disclosed to us by the realtor that sold it to us. We didn't know for sure whether Bob, Robert, or Jesse died in the home, but we heard many fond stories from the realtor and other people in the neighborhood about how they were active and kind people in the community. It isn't a house you would think would be haunted. My old house always had an eerie vibe and I had many experiences there, but this one felt much lighter and safe. When we were moving into the home, me and my mom did most of the moving ourselves. One of the first days of us moving in, the door to the upstairs room opened a bit on its own. Hence came the inside joke of me and my mom joking that any house settling noise we heard was just Bob messing with us. Only me and my mom joked about it. I never told anyone else. The friend who I played the board with wasn't even a close friend of mine, so she had no way of knowing. We started playing the board and first asked what the spirit's name was. I shit you not, it said Bob. I immediately started flipping out because that was insane, but it would be cool to ask him questions. However, when we asked the spirit's age, and when it was born, and when it died, the answers made 0 sense. The vibe in the room was not good. Then it started going from H to A over and over again, ha ha ha, and it wouldn't respond to questions. We said goodbye and tried to calm down. We had already changed into our pajamas and my friend started saying her back was burning. She asked me to check and she pulled up the back of her shirt and she had long, consistent scratches that were clearly from all 4 fingers of something at once, from the top of her left shoulder down to the right side of her waist, and then from side to side on her lower back. The next day when we woke up to leave and go to a school event, my glove box was open and the contents were spread onto the passenger seat in the floorboard. Same in my dad's car. I didn't tell him what happened, but it felt like a weird thing to happen after that. Nothing was taken whatsoever. Eventually I drove an hour away and disposed of the board by a lake and never heard from what was undeniably the demon ever again. If you're reading this core, please stay away and keep my man Bob's name out of your mouth. No, why are you trying to make Bob the bad guy? I am so glad you got rid of that board and never use one again. Did I not teach you enough? I know you said that I did, but clearly I didn't. When I tell you that is horrifying, the scratches, I absolutely cannot. The physical aspect of that too, the pain that you would be in, and then the mental aspect of knowing how it happened. Fuck. Or moving on, my first sleep paralysis experience. Hi Courtney, or whoever's reading this. I've been a watcher since about 2016. I absolutely love when you read our sleep paralysis stories, so I thought I would share my first ever experience. This was the first and last time I'd ever opened up my eyes while having sleep paralysis. Sorry if this is long and hard to read. I'm extremely dyslexic and punctuation has always been a struggle to understand. No, you're so fine. So when I was about 11 or 12, I used to absolutely hate sleeping in my own room, as I used to have nightmares, so I would sleep on a small gymnastics mat on my sister's floor. She didn't really care much, so I did it a lot. I had another nightmare, so I was sleeping on my sister's floor, and when I woke up, I went to turn to lay on my stomach, and I couldn't move. I was really confused, so I opened my eyes and turned my head to my sister to say something, but nothing came out. I then heard a crackling noise to my right. Side note, my sister had this very small cubby-like closet in the corner of her room. When I turned my head, I saw a white, pale, skinny creature in her cubby. Think of the rake creature that was trending a few years ago. It was standing with its head turned because it was taller than the ceiling. It had to be over 7 feet tall. It then started making more crackling noises. It crawled onto the ceiling and out of the cubby. It started going towards my sister but kept its eyes on me. I physically could not close my eyes, and trust me, I was trying to. It then crawled down the wall and was now inches away from my sister. I was finally able to close my eyes, and I just repeated, "Wake up," for what felt like forever, and I literally jolted up. It was pitch black in the room, and I was too scared to look around. I woke my sister up crying, telling her what happened. She let me sleep in her bed with her that night. It took me forever to fall asleep, but I finally did. I will never open my eyes again, as I'm too scared to see that thing again. I've had sleep paralysis almost regularly since, but thankfully haven't in like a month, and I hope this doesn't trigger one because I think I would actually have a mental breakdown. I have more sleep paralysis stories as well as paranormal stories I could share if you want me to. I don't know if I can handle them, but yeah, please. No, the pale, skinny, 7-foot tall creature climbing and going after your sister. Because it's one thing for it to be coming after you, but for it to be like making eye contact with you and then go for your sister is like so fucking scary, because it's like, get away from her, she doesn't know, like, and she can't see you, and what the hell? That's absolutely terrifying, and I'm so like, I'm so glad it hasn't happened in a little bit, and I hope it doesn't happen again ever, because what the hell? No, actually. Okay, and then this next story says they were disguised as little kids. Hey Courtney, wanted to start off by saying I love you and your channel, but you better buckle up because this is a wild and slightly long story. Around 2018, my mom, sister, and I moved into an apartment built on an Indian burial ground. At first, everything was smooth sailing and we didn't have any paranormal happenings. Until my little sister, who was 5 at the time, started to see a little girl, and eventually I would see her too, but while I was in my room. The little girl would come in there and mess with my stuff and wake me up. One night she came into my room and I asked, "What's up, kiddo?" thinking it was my sister, but it was the little ghost girl. She said, "I'm playing hide and seek, don't tell them where I am," as she put her finger to her lip, walked into my closet, and disappeared. After that activity started to ramp up from my sister's toys being thrown while my sister wasn't home, stuff flying off my shelf in my room, cabinets being opened then slammed shut, seeing and hearing things, you know, the typical my house is haunted things. 2019, my cousin moved into an apartment across the street. So that meant is my eyelash falling off? No, okay. These are barely hanging on. Sorry. 2019, my cousin moved into an apartment across the street, so that meant I could hang out with her all the time. One Friday night, I decided to go see what my cousin was doing, and turns out she had a spooky toy for the ghosts. A ouija board, of course. I was in the room with my cousin Bella and her friends Allie, Tay, and Haley. They all decided to play the ouija board because they were bored and they really wanted something to happen. At first, nothing happened until Gary came through. He said he was 5 and drowned in the creek in the woods behind the apartment complex. After about 10 minutes, things started to get kind of odd. I started to feel really lightheaded, nauseous, sweaty, and with all of that came being anxious, and the energy shifted, which I knew wasn't good, but the girls kept playing. I ended up going home that night and I couldn't stop thinking about how I felt while they were playing, because in the back of my mind, I knew it wasn't good. The next day I went back over and they were playing again, and this time my cousin was acting different. Now I know why. Things ramped up. My cousin's son was screaming and crying, telling his mom to stop because Gary wants to hurt you. They ended up stopping, and that was the last I know of anything with the ouija board until my cousin's friend Tay and Allie called me freaking out because something wasn't right in the apartment. I got there with my friend and he had his sister-in-law come to the apartment to cleanse it. Turns out Gary was very evil, and after my cousin and her friends opened the board the second night, they ended up letting Gary and hellhounds out. After the apartment was cleansed, the lady asked me if she could use sage to cleanse me because something tried to attach itself to me. And it turns out the little girl ghost my sister was friends with was evil too. What the hell? Wait, the little girl playing hide and seek is evil? Insane. Just kidding. Honestly, that's actually really sad, a little demon girl. Well, I guess it's not really a little girl then, because they're disguised as kids. I understand the title now. Okay, this is the last story I'm gonna read, and I didn't mean for it to be like Ouija board, sleep paralysis, Ouija board, sleep paralysis. This is sleep paralysis experience. I didn't mean to do that. I also want to say I skimmed this one a little bit, and I want to say trigger warning. I might add another one in later, but for like an abusive relationship. For some context, my mom is a spiritual medium, so I've never been scared of the paranormal. This happened a couple of months back, but I have a feeling it won't be the last I see of this thing. So I'm gonna say this happened in maybe June, a few months after I left a toxic/abusive relationship. This is important for the nights leading to the night that still haunts me to this day. So the first time I experienced sleep paralysis was a couple weeks before the incident. I was exhausted and I started dozing off to sleep. I started to dream that I was stoned, laying in my bed, and I heard thudding on the outside of my wall. At this point, I'm already trying to wake up, but my eyes would not open. My dad came upstairs and said it was the teen boys and for me to sit downstairs with the dogs. I woke up after he said that and I was genuinely confused if he actually asked me to sit downstairs until I looked at the time and saw it was nearly 3 in the morning. The next couple of nights, I just kept waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning until I experienced another sleep paralysis. Yet again, I was exhausted and I dozed off. This time the dream was a lot worse. I was stoned, but in a room with my abusive ex, and he was trying to do stuff. I was panicking, trying to wake up, but my eyes would not open until this random guy came into the room and I managed to wake up. Next couple of nights, again, just waking up at 3 or 4, and then another sleep paralysis, but I didn't tell anyone about this one. I was in my room stoned yet again, but I had a beautiful baby girl in my hands. Context, I had a miscarriage with my ex. I honestly thought it was a good dream until my ex came in and demanded to take her. I was trying so hard to wake up, but I couldn't. I was refusing to give her to him, so he hit me, and that's when I woke up. Again, waking up at 3 or 4, then it became the night that haunts me. I was exhausted and I dozed off. I was in the woods this time. It was dark and scary. I was running from something, but I don't know what it was. I hit off a tree and fell backwards. I woke up and my body was paralyzed, and when I opened my eyes, I saw this tall black figure in my room, and I shut my eyes as fast as I could. I wanted to scream or phone someone, but I couldn't move any part of my body. When I opened my eyes, it was gone, and I was able to move again. The next day I told my mom, and she said she would get a strong sage to try and get rid of it. I'm still waiting. My mom also did mention that she's felt a presence, but it's hid itself from her, and for some reason showed itself to me. Ever since that night, I've been scared of the dark to the point I hate going to the bathroom at night. Also, since that night, my light flickers constantly. Before that night, it was perfectly fine. So anytime my light flickers, I say to stop messing with the light, and then boom, no more flickering. Sorry, I'm not the best storyteller, but I have a feeling there's going to be another time that I see this thing. You were fine for one, and I really hope that you don't see this thing again. I hope these dreams stop. I really do. Your mom needs to get that damn sage. All right, well, that's all I'm gonna read for now. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any other scary paranormal sleep paralysis stories that you want to share with me, I'll have my subreddit link down below. I'm not gonna ramble at the end of this only because I don't have much time to film today. And I'm also, I filmed yesterday and I did my rambling in yesterday's video, so I just don't really have much to say. So I'm gonna go, but I love you guys so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye.